Welcome to a new video. Let's take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. The first story is called, Do It Exactly As You Ask? I work in a shop that sells and repairs chainsaws and other garden machinery. We are pretty well known in the local area. And because of this, all year round we have an average of roughly a 5-week lead time on servicing and repairs. I know that sounds crazy. We've got 3 guys in the workshop working 5 to 6 days a week and we are just always flat out. Due to the nature of our business, we deal with customers from all walks of life. In this case, the customer was a member of the traveling community and is known to us as being a bit of a nasty piece of work. Last Thursday, the guy comes into the shop with his raggedy old leaf blower. The guy is about 60 and the blower is about 15 years old and looks like it's never seen service. Before we get into it, I'll just outline one thing. The carburetor on a little engine like this is like the brain. There's a series of gaskets and diaphragms inside the carb that get the fuel where it needs to go when it needs to go there and in the right quantity. If the gaskets are hard or broken or damaged, it won't work. But if a machine doesn't work, it's not necessarily the diaphragms. He says to me, put new diaphragms in that, signaling at his blower. I said, no problem. I'll book it in for you. The lead time is roughly 4 weeks. I'm not waiting that long. It just needs gaskets. Why can't you do it now? I explained to him that I could do just the gaskets now, but I guarantee that they aren't the issue. I explained that the machine was as old as the dirt and that it was going to need more doing to it than just that. He disagreed and said it was only the gaskets to do it for him and that he would be back on Saturday morning. I said, no problem. I'll replace the gaskets for you, sir. I replaced the parts he asked me to, and sure enough, the machine didn't work. He comes in on Saturday. Have you done the replacement? Yes, I've done it for you, but as I said on Thursday, it still doesn't work. I'm happy to look at and get it running for you. But again, as I said on Thursday, our lead time is roughly 4 weeks. That's ridiculous. Why doesn't it work? Unfortunately, the machine needs a thorough clean of the fuel system and looking at properly. The gaskets were rock hard and brittle, so they all tore as I took them apart. So that definitely was an issue. But there is more that needs sorting to get it working properly. The cost as it is £38, the gasket kits which you ask for is $20 and the rest is my labor. I haven't got any money. So I'll take it now and I'll bring the money another day. I'm afraid I can't release the machine without it being paid for. So he mumbles and disappears, and today he shuffled back into the shop. Take them gaskets out and give it back to me. I'm not paying that price. In this situation usually, we will charge some labor to undo work that has been specifically requested when we've advised against it. It's a waste of our time and it's boring. But in this case, the guy was already winding me up and I just wanted to get rid of him. No problem, but it still won't work because as I told you on Thursday and Saturday, your gaskets were dry and damaged, so they won't go back in, and so it still won't work. Whatever. Just take them out. So, I did. I put all the parts of his machine in a little bag so that if he ever did want it done, it would be easy to access and less hassle. I handed him the machine and the bag of parts. What is that? That's all the parts. There's no point putting it back together with the parts you need missing. It won't work at all. It would be pointless. You're a con man. I'm sorry? You're a con man. You're nothing but a bunch of idiots in here. Okay. Well, have a nice day. Screw you. This guy is 60-odd years old and he's resulting to schoolyard insults. Needless to say, he won't be getting the time of day when he comes back because he will come back. He needs a blower. And as expected, Head was the first customer in the shop a few days later. My boss asked if I'd like him to serve him and I said it's probably for the best as I'm not feeling too polite towards him. He straight up got some bolts and stuff for another chainsaw, asked how quickly we could fix another machine, which he got told he would join the queue for, and then he asked, how much is a new leaf blower? So, I did not have to deal with him and he has to pay for a new blower. Double win for me, I guess. The next story is called, Just Don't Do It. I work in a grocery store. This isn't just any grocery store. This is one of the busiest stores in the entire district, with my specific department being the busiest department in our store. Most people who come to this department quickly move to another, because our work is back to back with no downtime in between. I pride myself on being a hard worker, no matter what. I always strive to learn more, do more, be more. I make myself a necessary asset because it gives me a lot of influence. In my department, I am a part-timer, but I do just as much work as our department's managers. Without me, the department would be screwed because no other part-timer is willing to do the work I do. It's a lot of work, way more work than I should be doing. But the benefit is that all the managers know how much I do and leave me alone. All managers, except one. She is our front-end manager. We also have a main perishable manager, assistant store manager, and store manager. She is a mean-spirited person who is awful at her job. She's never paying attention to what the other departments are doing. Hence, she doesn't realize how vital I am in our department. But she insists on acting as she does. I've heard multiple complaints from others in my departments that she tells them they are slacking and need to get more work done. I know full well this isn't the case and she just wants someone to mess with. One day, I'm on break. We get 2 15-minute breaks and 1 30-minute lunch. I decided to combine my 2 15-minute breaks into 1 half-hour break because my grandmother recently broke her rib and I was trying to coordinate with family about who could take care of her and when. The manager walks back into the break room once, then again later. She makes some sly comment about me taking my break so early in my shift. So I explained to her that it wasn't early at all and thought nothing of it. I guess she didn't like my tone of voice or something, because an hour later, she calls me into the office. Turns out she had checked the cameras in the break room and caught me taking an extended break. Before I even had a chance to speak, she went on a rant about how the department looks like garbage and it must be my fault since she caught me doing this. The department looked awful because my manager didn't order enough product. There is nothing I can do about that. I finally was able to speak and tried explaining to her that I only combined my 2 breaks into 1. She asked if I knew I wasn't supposed to do that, which I told her I did. Well then, she said, if you know you shouldn't be doing it, then just don't do it in the first place. Game, set, match. I wanted so badly to exact my malicious compliance immediately, but I knew the bigger managers would be in tomorrow along with her. And I knew they would absolutely rip her a new one for what I was about to do. I took the time to write out my new availability on paper. No more overnights, check. No more hanging tags or cleaning, check. I also wrote down my request for a $2 pay raise if they'd like me to continue doing all the other things the other part-timers don't have to do, along with a list of what exactly those responsibilities were. I went over to the manager's office and saw her sitting alone. Perfect. I said nothing and simply handed her the paper. She looked confused at first and asked me what this was. I explained to her that those are all the things I shouldn't be doing since I'm not getting paid for them and they aren't a part of my job description, being just a part-timer. I've never seen a look of pure despair on a person's face until that day. She first got angry at me, told me that I shouldn't be overblowing things. When it was clear that her being angry with me was only making my moment sweeter, she tried reasoning with me. Actually, this was just her re-explaining why I was wrong, in nicer words. I wasn't having any of it. I told her that we could have a meeting with the other managers to discuss it if she'd like. Not to my surprise, she declined that offer. Shortly thereafter, I was questioned by the other managers, separately, why I was doing this. I explained how she checked the cameras on me during my extended break and told them all about our conversation where she accused me of being responsible for the state of our department. The assistant store manager directly told me that she shouldn't have done what she did, that she would talk to her, and that, if she ever even bothered me again, I should immediately notify one of the other managers. Since that day, she has been nothing but an angel to me. That $2 raise was pretty sweet too. The last story is called, Just Do the Dishes. I'm a 27-year-old woman with 3 male roommates who are all grad students. I'm in the master bedroom and they all are on the other side of the house. They're all also about 2 years younger than me, so there's kind of a house mum role that I've fallen into. I don't mind it most of the time because I'm like, hey guys, don't forget to do X, and then they do it, but the cleanliness issue is one that I really can't get over. When I cook, I either clean the dishes as I'm cooking or I soak them in the sink for a little while and then clean them within the next couple of hours. My roommates, they just let that sit there. I got annoyed about 2 weeks ago because I went to make myself some pasta and there were so many dishes in the sink that I couldn't actually clean my pan. Out of frustration and probably a little bit of passive aggression, I just cleaned all the dishes, then waited for a time when the guys were home to let them know. I said, hey, I went to wash a pan earlier and there was no space in the sink. I know you guys are busy with classes, but there's got to be some way to get your dishes clean within 48 hours of them being dirty. That way we don't get this pile up and I don't feel like you guys are leaving the household chores to me. They said, of course our dishes aren't your responsibility. We're sorry. From now on, you don't have to worry about it. Only do the dishes that are yours. Fast forward a few weeks. Roommate 1 is going out of state to visit his family, roommate 2 is in South America with his lab mates, and roommate 3 is probably at his girlfriend's place. They all disappeared like a whisper in the wind, and I woke up the next day realizing that not only were none of the guys here, but they left a bunch of dishes in the sink. Now, we live in the south, and it's just starting to get warm outside. There are bugs, and those bugs get attracted to grossness that gets left out on counters. It's day 3, and all kinds of gnats and flies are gathering around their dishes. Normally I'd be so incensed that I would just clean it all, but you know what? I refused to wash their disgusting dishes because they told me I didn't have to. I'm not even going in the kitchen right now, it's so nasty. Thankfully being in the master bedroom means I have my own bathroom, and I've decided for the hell of it that I'm just gonna wash my dishes in the bathroom sink, which is clean. Because my roommates all came home at different times, you're going to have to know them individually, so here are some fake names. Roommate 1 who went to visit family is Nathan. Roommate 2 who went to South America is Luciano. Roommate 3 who was hanging out with his girlfriend is Sanjit. Again, not really, just trying to keep them distinct so you don't get mixed up on who is who. So, first, we have Sanjit, who came home last night with his girlfriend. As far as I can tell, they skipped the kitchen entirely and went straight to his room. This morning, though, I was unlucky enough to be woken up by my cat's claw in my foot at like 7 AM, so I was very awake and heard him shuffle into the kitchen for coffee. Sanjit said it was gross in the kitchen, and his girlfriend agreed. Sanjit proceeded to say something like, "This is why I don't even want to cook in here." It's true. Sanjit doesn't cook very often, he mostly gets delivery. So, I could safely assume that the dishes did not belong to Sanjit. He and his girlfriend left the house not long after I heard this conversation. Next to arrive was Nathan, around 2 in the afternoon. I was actually out in the backyard, hosing down my cat's litter box when he pulled into the driveway. I heard him enter the house, but I didn't want to be standing in the living room, waiting for him. So, unfortunately, I didn't see the initial reaction. When I did go back inside, he was in his room unpacking from his trip. But there was still that gross little buzz around the dishware. I went into my room to reassemble the litter box. After about 2 hours went by and there was zero kitchen activity, I started to get anxious. I seriously started thinking, what if they really just don't give a damn and these dishes get ignored for another 48 hours? What if I got myself worked up for nothing? So I actually came up with Plan B. Plan A, of course, was the best timeline, a beautiful moment of clarity where all the roommates recognized that communal living is a team effort and we all have to do our part to get by. Barring that, Plan B would be to wait until all roommates were home yet again and corral them in the kitchen to say, "Look at this. These are bugs. You literally left your dishes for over 3 days for me to do. And don't tell me you didn't. There's the bleach, there's the insecticide. Get to work." My blood was boiling a little, just thinking about it. And I can be kind of scary for a little lady. So part of me was actually kind of hoping I would get to do Plan B and let off some steam. Thankfully, at one point Nathan came out of his room and started making a frozen pizza in the kitchen. I heard some dishes clank, the oven door open and close, and the sweet smell of pepperoni filling the air. A few more dishes clanged, and then Nathan started coming by my room. I heard him before I saw him. He said, "Hey, Witty." That's me. "Hey man, how was your trip?" "Good, I'm just jet-lagged." "What happened in here?" "What do you mean? Like, is something rotting in the garbage disposal? You talking about the bugs?" "I mean, that's what happens when things get left out like that and then everyone leaves town." He makes a face as if to say, "Gross." I say, "Yes, it's pretty gross. There's cleaning stuff in the cabinet underneath, if you're looking for it." He sighs and says, "Cool, thanks." He walked off looking very sullen, like Charlie Brown on a bad day. The nice part of the house mum thing is that at the very least when I do explicitly tell someone to do something, they do it. So, as pouty as Nathan was, he started cleaning while his pizza cooked. I did a little girly happy dance at my desk. I'm all elbows. And allowed myself to relax a little. Not only was Nathan cleaning the dishes themselves, but the surfaces in and around the sink. He was attempting to spray the bugs to death. I left him to it and kept browsing the internet. I actually did end up checking the kitchen not long after this conversation. I wanted to make myself some tea anyway. And to my great pleasure, there were no dishes in the sink and very few bugs. We're still basically in a cabin in the woods, so some little gnats and fruit flies are an unfortunate inevitability. But it was nowhere near the thriving community that it had been a few hours prior. Luciano, the final roommate, got home around 8 at night, much later, in a wonderful mood. He's the party boy roommate, and he and Nathan are best buddies who often get drunk together. Our recycling bin is always full of beer cans and empty bottles of booze, and it's pretty much always because Luciano and Nathan stayed up late. So, Luciano gets back and starts unloading beers onto the counter. He screams, "Nathan, come here. Let's drink." Nathan had apparently been asleep, catching up from his jet lag, and stumbled out of his room. 2 beer cans open. "Lou, you owe me like 5 beers. Did you make a chicken last week?" "Probably. You want some?" The fridge door opens. "No dude, you didn't wash any of your stuff." It was still sitting in the sink today when I got back. There was an awkward pause. The fridge closes. Dude, look at this. I'm assuming Nathan took pictures of the sink when he got back and started showing them to Luciano. This is what it looked like in here. Like, I know the baking sheet was mine from before, but the rest? At this point Nathan started whispering a little bit, so I couldn't really make it out, but I'm fairly certain I heard my name in there, so I can only assume it was somewhere on the spectrum between a charitable, we literally just told Whitty she wouldn't have to do our dishes, and an angry, Whitty was a huge witch about it and I had to clean everything. Either way, whatever, I don't mind being the bad guy when I have a clean sink. A few minutes ago, I popped out to the kitchen to make myself more tea. Everything looked good, thank baby Jesus. Luciano and Nathan were out on the back porch. And Sanjit is probably still out with his girlfriend. For the sake of it, I gave the kitchen another good hose down with the insecticide and then wiped it down to dry. The kitchen definitely smells like bug spray right now, but honestly, I'll take it. Maybe the lingering smell will be a reminder. I wish I could fast forward into the future here and tell you guys, and they never left dishes in the sink again. The end. But only time will tell on that front. It seems like the number one culprit here was Luciano, and I'm a little sad that he didn't have to deal with the bugs face to face, but if big bro Nathan keeps him on track, then we'll be fine. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Let me know what you think about the stories in the comment section below. Have a great day. Bye bye.